Happy Saturday morning.
Happy Saturday morning to you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, coming in loud and clear, Jeff.
Excellent. Excellent. How's everything going down there?
The air conditioning is working, so that's positive. Um, and it's quiet right now because the girls have cleared out of the house, either working or grocery shopping. And
Okay.
so it's just me and the dogs. How about you?
Well, it's pretty quiet. Donna's in the other room. She understands that it's only week 0, but she does understand it's a little bit ceremonial that hey, there needs to be a respect for the beginning of the football season. I watch College Game Day a little bit, and so I'm ready to go. So
Okay. All right, that's good. I have not turned on my TV this morning. I know there seems like there might be two games of semi interest: the Notre Dame Navy game, and I think USC is playing San Jose State.
they are tonight. So I'll take it in. I may be doing other things. It's not white. There's no white knuckle action today,
No, there's
but
not, and I
you
and
can
I'm
kind of
traveling. I'm
ease your way
traveling.
into it.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I'm traveling. I'm traveling to Nashville to see Chris and his family.
Okay.
So I'll be there this evening. Yeah,
Good. Good. Well, tell them we said hey
yeah,
and
yeah,
best wishes to them.
yep.
So and you're going down there for to see them and everything and check
I've
them
got a
out.
business meeting that starts Tuesday, so I'm just getting a
Okay.
head start on it. Yep,
Okay. Good.
yep.
Very good. Yeah, we like Nashville. That's I think I've told you that's Donna's got family down there. So
Yeah,
we enjoy Nashville.
it's a good spot.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't think it's 114
No, it's not. And
there.
as we've neared retirement, um, I don't know how close we are, but Donna has talked about she's got two nieces there and a god and our godson. And so she says when babies start coming, that's where she wants to be. So
Okay.
I'm a little hesitant to leave Texas, but the weatherman is trying to help her nudge me in that direction.
I understand that. I don't think that you're the only one getting nudged.
No, no, it's been tough. It's been really tough. Did
Absolutely.
now that last year when we had this conversation, we touched briefly on baseball, and you were lamenting the state of the Rangers, and here we are again. We're lamenting the state of the Rangers, but for different reasons. They've
Yeah, it's an expectations thing, right? You get your expectations up, and
yep.
so they're today, as it stands before the games today, they're tied with Seattle.
Isn't that incredible what Seattle?
They've
Uh,
gone on a 9-1 stretch, and I'll tell you, Jeff, the Rangers' season starts with 7 games against Seattle out of the last 10, and the
yep,
last 4 in Seattle.
yep.
So
They're
I don't
gonna
know.
have to earn it, and
Yeah.
that's what I've told people at work. I think I told you there's a lady across from me that's a big Astros fan, and I told her from the beginning. I said my my hopes for this season are 90 wins and a playoff spot. And I said I'm sticking to that. I'm not going to move from that because I don't want to get disappointed.
No, we're
So
not getting greedy.
nope, nope. We get a playoff spot and get swept out. We'll still be okay. But you never know. You never know. It's
I
been
think it's
tough.
been a good season, and they've had some injuries, and
Have you taken in much exhibition? I call it exhibition football. I don't call it
it
preseason.
is. I have not. I have not. I do know that I do know that the Cowboys made a trade yesterday that was a little for me a little bit of a head scratcher. I'll admit.
Well,
But
I think
you know,
it was an investment play.
okay,
Uh, Obviously, um, I would not think that the decision that they were going to make on Dak. I don't know how Trey Lance really affects that decision over the next 2 years, given the where he's at in his career, and given the fact that they've made so much of a money investment in Dak. I really don't see that they're backing out of that in the near future. I think it's more of a investment play, kind of like the Packers used to do. Remember, the Packers had a string of They had Matt Hasselbeck. They had Mark Brunell. They had Matt Flynn. That was their mantra. That was their Aaron Brooks was another one, where Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, there was a long list of capable backups that ended up having some starting, and they would just, spin them off for a draft pick later on. So maybe it's a kind of a play like that. I don't know.
Maybe so. Maybe they'll get more than a
Um,
fourth round back. Who knows?
yeah. So you never know. But yeah, that was kind of curious. That was the Cowboys were way on down the list of people that I thought would jump into that pool. But,
Yeah.
so you never know what's going on at the Star. It's always excitement, and we can get into that here in a little bit. But they have done a pretty decent job in recent years in terms of um, allocating, well, not so much selecting talent. Now, their allocation of big contract money can be questioned in many instances, but some of their draft picks have gotten better over the last few years.
So I'm a believer. I know this is the first time we've had this conversation, but I'm telling you, I'm a believer.
Yeah, we'll get to that, and I kind of am too. I've fought it. I've fought it for a lot for the same reasons we're talking about the Rangers, trying to protect your heart from getting broken. But well, how do you want to go ahead and start? Do you want to pick the AFC or the NFC to start, and I'll do
Yeah.
the other?
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll go AFC, and I'll just go in the East, East, North, South, West. I've got
Okay.
Buffalo in the East. I've got the Ravens in the North,
Okay.
which is that could be tough.
Uh-huh.
The South is one of the worst divisions in football. I've got Jacksonville,
Okay.
and the West I think is still a Kansas City Chiefs division. So that's what
Okay.
I got in the AFC division winners.
Okay. What do you have
How
for
about
some
you?
wild card?
How
Wild
about you
card
give
teams?
me, how about you give us the NFC winners, and then I'll do the NFC wild cards, and you do the
Okay.
AFC wild
Fair enough.
cards.
NFC, I have the Cowboys, NFC East. I've got Here's a little bit of a surprise. I've got Seattle in the West.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I've got Green Bay in the North, and in the South, I'm going to go with Carolina,
Okay.
a rookie quarterback. And again, that's kind of like Jacksonville. I think that 9 wins may win that division. It's not really a good division. So
Not. So I'll give you my NFC wild cards right now,
okay,
and then I'll let you know there's a couple we're different on, and then
okay,
you can do the same on the AFC.
sure,
So the wild cards
sure.
I have for NFC is Philadelphia. So there
Uh-huh.
you go.
Uh-huh.
I've got Detroit as a wild card, and I've
Okay.
got the New York Giants as a wild card.
Whoa.
Now, yeah, yeah. So the only difference in the division winners we have, I don't have Seattle, I have San Francisco.
Okay.
And I don't have Green Bay, I've got Chicago.
Okay. Now here's where that comes into play. I debated Green Bay and Chicago. Chicago's my wild card, and I debated that. I had San Francisco as a wild card, and I do have Philadelphia as the other wild card.
Okay.
So,
So
did you have Philadelphia
the
as a wild card at all?
yeah, yeah. So the two were
Okay.
different on or the two were different on of the 7 playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that 7, isn't it right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
7.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I've got the Giants and I've got the Bears. You don't have the Bears as a wild card, do you?
I do have the Bears as a wild
Okay,
card.
so I've got the Giants, but I don't have the Seahawks.
Okay, that's where we're different as far as the
Do
playoff
you
teams.
do you have the Lions as a wild card?
Oh yeah, I don't have the Lions either. I've got my wild cards are Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Chicago. I've got Green
Yeah,
Bay winning. I've got
yeah,
Green
Green.
Bay winning
Yeah,
the North.
okay. So
That
Green
may
Bay
be
and
the difference.
Chicago. Yeah, okay, got it.
Yep.
So what about
And
AFC wild cards?
AFC, I've got Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and the Jets.
Okay.
And I well, did I give you the set? Did I give you the
No,
AFC division?
no, no.
Oh, okay. AFC division, I've got Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Jacksonville, the predictable ones.
Okay.
I got
Okay.
Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and the Jets as the wild cards.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I've got Cincy as a wild card. So Cincinnati, Baltimore, man, I mean, that's gonna be tough. And I don't know about
Mhm.
Pittsburgh. I don't know. I have the Chargers getting in there.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know about that one. But
Well,
their
it,
quarterback's just too good in my opinion. And then I've also got the Jets.
uh-huh.
And I'll say this: of all the teams that I've got in the playoffs, if I had to put money on any of them, Jets might be the last one I'd put money on.
Yeah, that's a really interesting situation. They signed Rodgers and they really anted up with a lot of other players. They signed Dalvin Cook, didn't they?
Yeah,
Okay. And then a lot of Rodgers buddies from the past, but they do have a decent roster. Um,
it'll be
I don't
interesting.
know if that's going to work as far as a long playoff run, but it's pretty easy to see them making the playoffs.
We'll see.
Um, it is a tough division. I mean, you've got Miami, and they're solid, and then you have Belichick there, who basically has been given not so subtle of a mandate from Kraft that okay, you you're you're 3 years away from the divorce, and my star quarterback, your favorite, has won a title, and you've made the playoffs once and lost that game. So, um, yeah, that's interesting. It's always interesting the coach, um, the coach quarterback. I don't know how you are on that. I kind of fall on the quarterback. Give the favor to the quarterback generally because my fallback is Chuck Noll had a long career. He won zero without Bradshaw, and Landry won zero without Staubach, and they had long careers before and after them. So, um, while Belichick may go down as the greatest coach, I wouldn't have an argument with him being the best of all time. Um, it, it's a lot harder without a quarterback.
Yeah. That's a
And
this is a that's a lot that whole conversation is a long conversation for
knew, I knew that might be a stickler there, and
so I don't have any arguments today though. So who do you have NFC champion? The
uh-huh. Yeah,
championship game. Who do you have?
championship game. I've got NFC. I've got Dallas over Seattle.
Okay, so I've got Philly at Dallas, and I've got Dallas winning that game.
Okay.
So we both have
I
Dallas in the championship game, but you think Seattle will beat them. Okay.
No, I have the Cowboys winning.
Oh,
We
okay.
both
So
have
you
the
have
Cowboys winning. You just have the Eagles, and I have
okay.
Seattle.
Okay. All right.
So we're on the same page there.
Okay.
And AFC, what do you have?
That's pretty predictable, I guess. Although I have Cincinnati as a wild card, but I
Mhm.
have Cincinnati and Kansas City.
And the winner?
Kansas City.
Okay. I went Buffalo and Jacksonville, and I went Buffalo over Jacksonville.
Okay. So the Cowboys in Buffalo for you,
Hmm.
and I've got the Cowboys and the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs. Okay, I can see that. And your winner?
I've got the Chiefs.
Okay, I have the Bills. I have Buffalo.
Okay. So
So
we've got a lot of confidence in the Cowboys getting to the Super Bowl.
we do. What is your okay? Give me your reasoning for your good feelings about the Cowboys and see how much of it matches mine.
Mainly it's defense.
Okay.
Honestly, I think that they're going to. I think they're going to have as good or better defense. Um, and you know, um, I think that the Eagles. It's hard to be good back to back years, so I think they're going to have a harder schedule. And it's just hard. So I think
Mhm.
that they're going to come down a little bit. And I don't think San Francisco is going to be as good as they have been. Although San Francisco has been in terms of recent success, no team from the NFC has been in the playoffs more games than the 49ers.
Mhm.
Uh, so I may be discounting them a little bit, but that Brock Purdy, I mean, I just you kind of wonder, is he really that good, right?
You,
So
you
anyway,
and I are you and I are on the same page on that. He had a real he doesn't have a strong arm, and he had a real short sample size. And generally, and you've seen this even with good quarterbacks, is once you get about 8 games, that those defensive coordinators, okay, this is what they're not asking him to do. They're not asking him to do A, B, C. They're not asking him to do make this throw. They're not they're and that's something I'm sure Kyle Shanahan is. There's not too many people better as far as scheming it up to help your quarterback. Having said that, I do think he's going to get exposed a little bit this year.
Yeah.
San Francisco, that's been their fatal flaw over these last few years. They had Jimmy Garoppolo, which was a quality quarterback, maybe not a great quarterback, but quality. Had some injuries. They took the deep dive on Trey Lance, which, as we talked about, failed. They've got Sam Darnold, who's been a career backup, and now they've got Purdy, who they picked, Mr. Irrelevant. And usually you don't get a top caliber quarterback that late in the draft.
Well,
That's unusual.
yeah. The NFC the quarterbacks of my playoff teams don't really have any experience making a playoff run.
Right.
I mean, they just don't.
And that's a lot of my thinking about the Cowboys is I think Philly will take a step back. I think there will be, to a smaller degree, that with Hurts is that now you have enough tape on Hurts. It's okay. This is what they're doing with him. Let's force him to try to not do this. I think Hurts is a good quarterback, but I'm not sure that he had an MVP level year last year. I'm not that he's sure that he's not at the level of Mahomes or Burrow, and I think that may catch up with them a little bit, along with the Super Bowl hangover. But I just don't see. I think the NFC is basically a weaker conference than the
I
AFC.
agree. It seems to me, yeah.
If the Cowboys are not going to do it this year with the way they've pushed the chips into the middle of the table with Gilmore, Cooks, if they're not going to do it this year, then I guess my question, if they're not going to do it with this group, at least with Prescott, when is it going to happen? Because
I think that's kind of what's
be
pushed me to where I am on it too. This feels like it's going to have to be this year. So I'll just see. I'll go with it.
Yep.
I'm not going all the way to the trophy.
Me neither. I'm going to try Buffalo again this year. I don't know if it's the second or third year, but I tried them last year, and I'm going to try it again this year.
Okay.
Buffalo had a really tough break. One of Donna's friends from a previous job, he comes to town for travel, and we have dinner with him. And
yeah,
he's from Buffalo, and he's a season ticket holder. We started talking to him, and I asked him about the game with the injury, and we both agreed that Kansas City got a big break in that game because it seemed to take the starch out of both teams. They weren't able to play for home field, and it really didn't seem fair to either team. And Kansas City's the standard. There's no argument about that. But the result of that game not getting finished and the whatever the emotional feelings on that, I think that compromised both those teams.
I think that's a great perspective.
Yeah, and but neither one of those teams looked their best when they hit the playoffs. So I'm going to go with Buffalo again. Seattle's kind of my dark horse. I really like Seattle, and I think if I was going to be on the fence with one pick that you made to go your way, would be Chicago. I like Matt Eberflus. I like Justin Fields. I wrote an article earlier this summer. I don't know if you looked at it, about what all the things that the Bears have done as far as their front office has made a lot of good moves. They picked somebody I was hoping the Cowboys would pick in Rashawn Johnson. We watch it. You and I watch a lot of Longhorn football, and I didn't really see a big drop off from him and Bijan Robinson. I mean, not a huge drop off. they plugged him in there, and he doesn't have the exact same skill set that Bijan does, but he looked pretty good. I think Chicago picking him in the fourth round, they may. I think a lot of teams may be looking back at that and say we missed on that one.
Yeah, I do think the Bears. Well, first of all, I think the division is not as it feels like a little bit more up for grabs.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of love on Detroit right now,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay if Detroit has a good run.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay with me. But I thought Fields got better last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Bears may learn some stuff from what Hurts did at Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
And I like Detroit as well. I like Dan Campbell, but I think there's going to be. I guess I'm picking them to not have a poor year, but I'm picking them to not be maybe what everyone is expecting them to be as far as to take that next step. I'm thinking they may
Yeah.
take a small step back before they take that
Yeah.
next step forward. I like Dan Campbell.
Yeah. So two teams that neither one of us picked.
Mhm.
So we avoided Denver, which is going to
Yes.
be that is going to be one of the more interesting teams to watch this year.
Yes, it will.
And we avoided Miami, which there's a lot of love for Miami too out there.
And I like Miami. I considered them. And quite honestly, the biggest reason why I didn't pick them was because that thing we talked about in the back of our mind is that there's only about half the teams from last year's playoffs are going to make this year's playoffs.
It's
I had
just
that in the
hard.
back of my mind, so I said, okay, you can't pick you can't pick more than about 8 of the 14 teams from last year.
No doubt about it. No
And
doubt
they
about
kind of
it.
fell off. I like Miami, and they're a good team, but for some reason, I really like what Tennessee has done. I like Mike Vrabel, so I kind of had to include them in there, and I like Mike Tomlin as well.
I do
And
like Mike Tomlin. I do, and I wouldn't be surprised if either of those two get there. So, who do you think is on the hot seat? Who's first out? Coaches.
that's one I didn't write down in my notes.
All right. So I got one. If you want me to go first,
Go first.
it's going to be Stefanski. Browns.
Okay. I think
Isn't he the head coach at the Browns still?
that's right.
And I think
And
I don't think he's going to make it much into
I
the
think
season.
I think that's as good of a pick as any. Um, a lot of people are talking about Brandon Staley, but he's got, and I can see him suffering if the Chargers don't win because they had too good of a quarterback to not win, like you mentioned.
That's what I'm betting on.
Herbert is the real deal, and he may be the next guy to take that next step to that top tier. But I would probably lean your way. I was thinking about it and I didn't write it down, but I would tend to agree with you.
Yeah, so I think
maybe whoever's coaching Arizona, that might be another good point.
That's a tough job.
What a mess.
That is a big mess. I'm gonna say Prescott for MVP.
Wow. From your lips to God's ears, sir.
I'm telling you, man, if Dallas is going to get to the Super Bowl, he's going to have to do good.
And really, to be fair to him, I don't think I've ever viewed him in the same vein as the top tier like Rodgers or
I don't either, and I'm just saying.
I think he's very good, and if you have a good roster, good to great roster like the Cowboys have, you can do it. And I do think he got hung out to dry by his receivers several times last year.
Well, and I guess another question is if it's not who is it? Who wins the NFC most valuable player? I mean, who?
Yep. That's a good question. And I had Trevor Lawrence because I think he's on the up and up, and I have Jacksonville being not the second seed. I have them as like a 3 or 4 seed, but them winning a road playoff game and getting to that championship game. So I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
But I hope I'm wrong and you're right, believe me.
Okay.
So, I expect Dak to have a good year, really do. I think he'll have a bounce back.
We'll see.
There was a route. There was one particular route. I think it was the Jacksonville game. And didn't he throw a pick six to end the game? Wasn't that what happened? I think that's what happened.
Well, it wouldn't be out of. Yeah, I can see that happen. I don't
Yeah.
remember, but I can see that
But
happen. So,
they showed a route, and it was Gallup, and he was rounding off a route which was clearly an out route. And of course, Gallup was not himself last year; he was still recovering. He rounded off a route, and you could tell that's where the ball. It should have been just a straight
I'm there at
out.
all.
And there were several instances. He didn't have a good year, but there were several instances where you could tell it wasn't necessarily his fault. So,
Yeah, and
I hope you're right.
I'm not a super huge Prescott fan, but I'm just saying, if this is the story this year, then it feels like that needs to be part of the story.
Sure. And he doesn't need to be Aikman or Staubach. He just needs to give us one ring. If he gets us one ring, he never buys a drink or dinner in town for the rest of his life. You know how
That's
that's
funny.
the Cowboys work. So,
I think that's true.
well, what about college? How do you want to approach this? Do you want to start with a conference winner, and then I'll pick another conference winner.
Okay.
We'll go that way.
Okay. I got
Start with one.
LSU. I got LSU over Georgia.
Ooh, okay. Interesting. Interesting. I thought about LSU. I went with Georgia, but I thought about that. I think what prevented me from picking LSU was seeing that they're having to play in Tuscaloosa this year as opposed to Baton Rouge. I think that's I'm sure they've won in Tuscaloosa many times, but that's kind of what held me back from giving them more consideration there.
Yeah, maybe.
But I like LSU. I don't like Brian Kelly. I'm not a big fan of his, but he is a very good coach, and I'm sure he's going to get things going down there for in pretty quick order. So that was SEC. I picked Georgia. Want me to do Big Ten?
Sure.
I'm going to go Ohio State.
Oh, okay.
I think Ryan Day, he's had to have watched what's happened to his teams in the last 2 years to Michigan and just getting bodied up on the line of scrimmage. And I have to think that's just burning the hole in his brain. And they're as talented as anybody. I think I'm going to pick them to.
All right. I'm going to take Michigan. I'm going to take Michigan, and I'm going to actually say Penn State beats Ohio State too.
Okay. Are they playing in Columbus?
At least today, I'm saying
that. Are they playing in Columbus or Happy Valley? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
ACC. It's Clemson.
Okay. I'm going to go Florida State.
All right.
I'm going to go Florida State with a dark horse tag on South Carolina.
Oh. All right. So big. Go ahead.
Big 12.
Yeah.
My turn. Texas.
Sure. Me too.
Okay.
I think K-State is the next in line.
Okay.
I'll go Pac-12, and I got USC.
Okay, same.
All right.
Dark horse stuff. I'd give a shot to Utah. Utah has a great defense.
I love Utah. I think Oregon though might be the next step after USC.
Okay.
I mean, Bo Nix was this his 17th year, I think, right? So CFP, I got LSU, Michigan, USC, Georgia.
LSU, Michigan, USC, Georgia. I've got Georgia and USC, but I've got Florida State and Alabama.
Okay. Okay.
And the winner.
So you don't have Big Ten in there at all?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. Right. I have them knocking each other out. So
we both have two Southeast Conference teams, though, right?
Yes, that
you've got Georgia and
LSU,
Alabama,
right?
and I've got Georgia and LSU.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I've got Michigan. I've got Michigan, but you've got Florida State.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right.
Yep. And championship.
So I didn't write that down, but just looking at this right now, I'll go with LSU and USC.
And winner?
That's great. I'll go with LSU.
Okay. I'm going to go Georgia over Florida State. There's a part of me
Okay.
that thinks there's no way that Georgia can run three back,
Three-peat.
but they're so thick, their roster. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I couldn't.
Okay.
I couldn't talk myself into stepping out of the box on that one.
But we both are
So,
going with this SEC.
on game day, they had two of the three guys. I think it was both. I think it was both McAfee and Herbstreit had two Big Ten and two SEC. So that was interesting.
It is interesting, and I mean, so look at the teams that we did not pick to get there. I picked Clemson in the ACC, and I picked Texas in the Big 12, and I just think they're going to get beat in their conference more than once.
Yep, I do, and I think that's a good year for Texas. That's a good year to win the Big 12. That's a good year. I think it might be a stretch to. They could make the playoffs, but
2 weeks for.
Pardon?
2 weeks from today, is it Alabama and Texas?
Alabama, and that will
That'll
tell us
fun.
a lot. And they held up pretty well last year. I mean,
It'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. We were at Mom's Services during that, and I watched some of the highlights of that, and they put up a pretty good fight.
It'll be interesting. Yeah,
it will. Heisman.
I got Caleb Williams winning it again, first back-to-back since Archie Griffin.
I debated that, but I'm going kind of on your train with LSU and go Jaden Daniels.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So I'm going to go that direction. Caleb Williams, I think there's got to be a reason why it's been nearly 50 years since there was a repeat. Archie Griffin. And there's a part of me that thinks, and that's part of me that think that's political, where they say, okay, we can't have the same person.
It could be. It could be. He may polarize some voters, the kind of the way he kind of does stuff. And there's never been a back-to-back quarterback winner, right? The only one is Archie Griffin. Well, the last one was Archie Griffin. I don't know if
I don't know if there was others before that in the dead ball era, or whatever we call it. So, this is what I'm really interested in getting your take on. It's Crystal Ball 2030.
Yeah. So
and I can even ask you what you think's going to happen and what you think should happen.
No, I love the question, right? Because it's just anybody's guess. And we both know that whatever the outcome is going to be determined by executives for entertainment groups.
Absolutely.
It seems to me, right? But here's what I wrote down. So I wrote down that you kind of collect the 64 best teams, and you have 16 teams divisions, right? And geographical. So, the ones I had was North, think about Big Ten, the Union States, right? You got the South, which is basically the Southeast Conference in the Texas schools,
right?
That make the 16, whatever that would be.
Right.
You got the East, which would be kind of the Atlantic coast, like from Virginia all the way down to Florida. So the Florida schools would go over there instead of being the SEC. And then West is, everything, all the mountain states, all the mountain states, all the mountain states, and that stuff. So, so then you have 64 teams, and there's a 16-team playoff. Okay, and rounds 1 and 2 are on campus.
Okay,
and then the other 48 Tier 1 teams are eligible to be matched up with the best 16 Tier 2 teams. Okay. And there would be relegation at stake in those bowl games. So the bottom team, so like the Vanderbilts, could get relegated, right? If they got beat by somebody else from that region in a bowl game.
There's been a lot of talk about that, bringing the Premier League element over. I like that. I think that would be really good. I think that should be the number. I guess what I think is going to happen is I think the networks are going to push for a much more select group. I
Okay,
think they're going to push for about 32.
okay.
And I don't like that because I think it's akin to saying, CBS and Fox saying, okay, we only want the Packers, the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Patriots, the Dolphins, just having like 8 or 10 teams. But if you don't have enough of a pool, it gets kind of boring. And I think they're going to start with 32. And then I think over time, they're going to back it off and go like 40 to 48.
Okay.
And the regions you talked about are exactly right. I think the networks are going to get a little greedy and not want to, and also the blue blood schools are going to get a little greedy and not want to share money with that second tier and third tier. But I think they're going to discover that they're cutting off the nose to spite the face, both the blue bloods and the networks. So
Well, so you pegged 2030, right? So 7 years. And I don't know when contracts like the SEC contract and the Big Ten contract, when they, come up, but the negotiations the next time around will be really fascinating.
That's when it's going to happen. And you'll have the Vanderbilts and the Oregon States and the Illinois and Northwesterns that they say, you can stay here, but we're leaving.
Well,
So,
I mean, it's a eyes game, right? How many eyes are on the TV, and it's a big part of it.
that's it.
But
Well,
you
man,
and I, so
Okay.
you and I know this.
Uh-huh.
We're not aligned to an Illinois. We're not aligned to a Vanderbilt, right? We are free agents.
We are free agents, and that's
We
kind
are
of
just
fun. The
enjoying
way
it, right? Yeah.
being Abilene Christian alums, we can root for whoever we want to, and if they don't, if they lose, like with Texas, I root for Texas. But if they just get their clock cleaned by a rival, I don't go to work getting butt hurt by somebody. It's just, hey, went to Abilene Christian.
More important, and it leaves us free to be free agents to pick and choose who we want to lose.
Exactly.
Well, it's good talking to you, Jeff.
It's good talking to you, Kevin.
Inviting me to do
Yeah,
this.
hey, it's always fun. You tell Chris and the family I said hey.
I will. Now,
y'all have fun?
You're traveling next weekend, aren't you?
Yeah, we're going to Phoenix to see Stan, and
awesome.
I'm looking forward to the Tech Kansas State idea. That sounds good. So I'll
All right,
keep.
let's try to do it. Okay.
See ya.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.